Hey. Welcome, everybody, today to Are You Ready to Ramble? Yes, of course you are. And today we're going to be rambling about Delphi and the Delphi case, the murders of Abby and Libby. There was a court hearing today, but this week has had a lot of different filings as well. So there's been a lot of new information that has come out. So I thought we'd just go over it. I've got like notes. And so Mumsy's in the house and Chalet is in the house. Woohoo! Please say hello in the chat, and I'll be happy to welcome you too to the show. So all right. Richard Allen has been in prison for more than a year now on charges of being the killer of Abby and Libby. Note that he has not been convicted yet, which normally someone who is accused and waiting trial goes to jail. But instead of going to jail, they decided to move him to a prison. And the judge that did that, a judge that was in Carroll County, so Delphi is in Carroll County. So Judge Diener is the judge that signed off on the move. Sam Chamney, actually, or John in the house. John in the house. Woohoo! Chalet, your name. My ex-husband's name is Richard Arthur instead of Richard Allen. So it's like that double first name thing. His middle name is Allen. Okay. Oh my Lord. Yes. So anyway, I was just mentioning that, he's been, normally you go to the county jail, but Judge Diener signed off on him moving to the prison, and then that same day recused himself. And I think he said it was just, health and personal things or something. I don't remember his exact reason, but let me tell you, with everything that's come out over the year, it would not surprise me. I'm not saying this is what happened, but it would not surprise me if he could see what was going on and is like, I'm not going to be a part of this. Maybe somebody like pushed him to sign off on going to prison, or, hey, look at what happened to the polygraph expert that did the polygraphs in earlier on during the investigation. Her house burned down and she died with her daughter. Look at what happened to one of the 3 officers that was investigating the Odinism angle for 3 years. He got killed right outside, a government building. A lot of fishy things happening with people involved in this case. I've never seen anybody do a video that like really dug around and saw exactly how many people that had been involved in this case ended up having something happen to them. But maybe he saw the writing on the wall, and it's like, okay, I'll sign this transfer to prison, which is he probably knew was ridiculous, and then recused himself. He was not going to be a part of it. But we don't know. We don't. That's speculation on my part. I'm just speculating. But it makes sense with everything that we know now. So earlier in the week, okay, because like I said, I've got these notes. All right. I've got notes for you. And I love paper. I love pen and paper. I'm not into like typing all my notes and stuff. So Richard Allen let me say he was there. He was brought from the prison to be there in court, and people are saying that he looked better than the last time he was in court, where he had he looked really bad. He looked like a prisoner of war, and that's words of the defense attorneys, that he's being treated like a prisoner of war, and that's what he looked like. Was not in good shape. Yeah, a lot of work. You don't know how many videos I've been watching. Started this morning, early this morning. Maybe 5:36, something like this, my time. Bob Motta with Defense Diaries podcast. I always, if I can, I always like to listen to his perspective first. He's a lawyer in Illinois, just one state over. He was there. He went to be a spectator in the court during the hearing. So everything was coming firsthand from him. I did watch, a few other videos as well, putting some pieces together. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Defense Diaries podcast, that's the name of the channel, I definitely recommend checking them out. And Bob Motta and his wife, Allie, do a great show, and their perspective is very fair. Yes, they are coming from defense attorneys' perspectives, but I find that it's still very fair. And the other person I like to listen to is Michelle, from Michelle Walks and Michelle After Dark. It's two channels of the same person, and she's always like super excited and like, and she has a lot of experience with law, and I mean, as far as like law enforcement and thing, I can't remember. She's not a profiler, but I think she was involved in sociology. I can't remember exactly what she did, but her son was murdered, and so she's been through it firsthand as well. She's in England, and but like when she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, you don't see her face. She's usually off screen, but you hear her like so excited and animated and about like what she's reading and what's happening. So I enjoy her too, but I like to hear Bob Motta first, because he's really giving that legal, like what the legal things mean, right? All right. So the first thing I want to do before the hearing is talk about one of the things that was like a big bombshell that happened during the week, and that was geofencing. So we learned through whichever filing with the court that there had been a map. Law enforcement had put together a map. This was part of the discovery that was given to the defense attorneys for Richard Allen. And on this map were not pings. Pings are different. When a phone pings off of a tower, you need to have 3 towers in order to triangulate that. But geofencing, I think, works more off of like your phone's GPS and wherever it's hooked up to. Well, yeah. If your phone's hooked up to a signal that the location on your phone is working, right? Whether it's a Wi-Fi signal or a data signal, the GPS in your phone, the location in your phone is activated. That's what's used for geofencing, I believe. And so there were 3 phones. And this is a map put together by law enforcement. These 3 phones were in the area where the girls' bodies were discovered at the time that law enforcement says that the murders occurred. So February 13th is when the girls were last seen, and I think it's pretty safe to say they were abducted. And that was what, 2:30, something like that, in the afternoon. And then there was a witness that says they saw somebody that was walking down the street that they're assuming was the killer. And that was like at 3:30. So they're saying that's the window of when the girls were killed. Nothing's ever come out about autopsies and a medical examiner with time of death. Did both girls have the same time of death? I would be really, really, really interested in that. Or had one been killed earlier and the other one killed later? You know, I take that from the defense attorney. I can't remember his name at the moment. That when the current defense attorneys who were previously disqualified, and so then you had new attorneys assigned to them. Once the original attorneys came back on, one of them did an interview where they said that, no, I believe one of the girls was killed. You know, one of the girls was sacrificed and the other one was murdered. So did one die before the other one that was used as, and the sacrifice would be Libby, because her body was found nude with blood sprinkled on it. Interesting. I would like to know if they were both killed at the same time. Anyway, back to the geofencing. So the police are saying that the murders happened between 2:30 and 3:30 on February 13th in the afternoon. And during that time is when 3 phones were in that very area. So defense was asking for more additional discovery, and the prosecution was saying, no, we don't have any more information. And so they're like, you've got 3 phones within 60 to 100 feet of where the girls were murdered, where their bodies were discovered. Okay, no, I won't say that because we don't know that they were murdered there. They could have just been murdered someplace else and placed there. We don't know. But where their bodies were found, 3 phones during that time. It's winter. The trees don't have any leaves. You're gonna see. So either they're witnesses. So in the beginning, you're trying to find these killers. Remember, they were killed in 2017. They didn't arrest anyone until 2022, right? So in February 2017, you've got a full-on investigation that's going on, and you're trying to find these killers. You would think that law enforcement is trying to find these killers, and they find out that there's 3 phones that were in the exact spot during the time that you're saying that they were killed. So either they're witnesses because they saw something. Number 2, they were participants. Or number 3, the girls weren't there at that time. Yeah, pretty big bombshell. And so do you think law enforcement dug into that and got, now it let's say it takes a year for Google or Facebook or whatever, whatever company had this geofencing information. Let's say it takes a year. So now you're in 2018. That's still long before 2022, right? Did they even ask who? Because when they got the information, it just says, okay, like phone number 1, phone number 2. Doesn't give the phone number. So the map doesn't have the phone number. That would be a second request. Did they make that second request for, okay, you know what? These 3 phones of data that you gave us, we need those numbers so that we can contact these people for the investigation. Wouldn't that make sense? Not only that, the defense is asking who made the map. Which of your officers made the map? Now you got to realize too, you had the FBI involved, and you had this triad of 3 law enforcement agencies. You had the Delphi police, you had the Carroll County Sheriffs, and you had the Indiana State Police. Now, First Sergeant Jerry Holman was the lead investigator, and he was with the Indiana State Police. So he was running the investigation. Holman's name will come up later too. New technology since then. Absolutely. Yeah, we're talking to 2017. And so, but they got the data from somewhere because they made a map, right? Who was the investigator that made the map? Where did they get the information? What did they request the phone numbers? Did they find out who those people were? Did they interview them? This would be like no-brainer step number one in an investigation. Not a peep. Yeah, you got the map, that's it. That's all there is. There's just a map. There's nothing. We don't got nothing to give you. It's irrelevant. We only have to give you information that's relevant. That's irrelevant. We don't need to give it to you. What? No, I think it's relevant. I think it's relevant. You know, what they're really saying is no, this information doesn't fit our timeline, so we don't want to share it with you. Yeah, you agree. Chalet says she agrees. And Morgan's checking. So let me say, Morgan in the house. Morgan in the house. He has a problem trying to do the comments, so he just sent me a WhatsApp message to let me know he's watching. All right. Enough said about geofencing. We understand what's going on there. Yeah, I do get really excited about this. We all should be, excited about this, Mumsy, because it's the justice system. This happens in Delphi. It can happen anywhere to anybody. Well, I'm in Cambodia, so I don't. I have a great personality. Thank you so much. Okay. So the second thing that has come out, this was like both during the week, and it was also mentioned during the hearing. But the next issue I want to bring up is that there were interviews that were done that were recorded over. So we kind of had a taste of that, but we were told it was like 1 week. Now we find out 70 days in the initial investigation. And they said they had 18,000 leads or something. All these leads you're following up on, all these interviews you're doing, not only for this case, but for the interview room. So any other cases that were also being done, had interviews, terabytes, was the drive that was recording for the interviews gone. Oh, well, and their excuse was that, well, there's a switch to like turn it on or turn it off, and the switch was in a way that like it just keeps going, and then when it reaches the end, it'll just go back to the beginning and start recording over with dead air, with no sound. So what, somebody like at the end of the day went and pushed a button or something so that all night long, I mean, could it even be done in one night? This is ridiculous. Who do they think's gonna believe this? Really? That's the best you could come up with? Oh my gosh, they're asking for the interviews, and we don't have them. So let's see, what can we say? I know, I got it. Let's tell them that it was recorded over. Okay. It got recorded over with other interviews. Oh, no. That's not what happened. Because then they say, but there's no, so they give that excuse. And then the defense comes back and says, well, why is there no audio? Why is there no sound? If it was like recorded over. Let's see. We got to think about this. What can we say? Yeah. Oh, yeah. The switch. It was on auto loop. We learn by our mistakes. Yeah. The law enforcement with 4 agencies. You've got the triad of the Delphi Police, the County Carroll Sheriff, the Indiana State Police, and the FBI. A double homicide, nationwide news. You're doing all these interviews. You don't even have a log of who was being interviewed. Like, okay, 10 o'clock, interview this person. 10:30, interview this person. Well, and then this interview went all the way to lunch till 12 o'clock, and we have lunch. 1 o'clock, we interviewed this person until 3. 3 o'clock, we interviewed. They have no log. What? They can't even, or they won't. They say they can't even say who was interviewed, for how long. They have no records. What? How can they really believe that anyone's gonna buy this? Oh my goodness! I'm only on number 2. 70 days during the critical time in the investigation. More than 2 months worth of interviews is gone. In addition, they had some interview video with no audio. However many of those they had. Well, we do have these interviews, no audio. So all they've got records of are the notes, the summaries by the investigator, whichever law enforcement it was that was conducting the interviews. And then they wrote down their notes. Did they write them down right away? Were they notes of a 30-minute interview or a 6-hour interview? How are you going to remember everything that was said? They think we're stupid. That's right, Chalet. I'm not going to make it to the end of my notes in 1 hour. Maybe not. But maybe, I don't know. All right. So, okay, then kind of on to the hearing. And here, I'll give you some basic results before we go into all these details of things that came out. So Judge Gull, Frances, bless her heart, Frances, the letter C, dot, Gull, Gull, C Gull. But you say that out loud? Yeah, Frances Seagull. You know, a lot of jokes can be made there, but whatever. Like I said, bless her heart. She didn't choose her name, but she does choose to use her middle initial. She's got to know that sounds like Seagull. What, she just thinks that's funny? I don't know. No rush here. All right. So, Judge Gull turned down the request so the defense is public defenders, assigned by the state to represent Richard Allen. And so normally if there's a case and the defense needs an expert on something, then they request funding for that expert, right? That's a normal thing. Not denied. That's have a cartoon with a seagull, the bird, going, instead of squawk, 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 is going deny. I'm not a cartoon artist, but that would be a great meme. All right. So turn down the request for money for the experts. Turn down the request to recuse the judge herself. No, denied. She's staying on. Request to dismiss the case. No, we're going forward. Request to remove the prosecutor. No, denied. He stayed. So we're all here. We're all chained to this case. It's moving forward. The 18th of May, I think. And I don't know when jury selection starts. If jury selection starts before that. The other thing, so the rest of the hearing is about the prosecutor filing charges filing a motion, whatever, saying that the defense is in contempt of court. All right. And so then everything else was like a mini trial with everybody presenting their witnesses and things like this for that part of the hearing. All right. And so the end result of the hearing that we're going to be talking about, the information, is that, let me get it right. The lawyer for the defense, so of course the defense is lawyers, but they have a lawyer representing them for this. So that lawyer is going to write something, write some kind of summary, write something that he wants to give as part of the hearing, right? And the judge said, okay, how long do you need? And he said 1 week. Judge says, okay, granted. So he's got 1 week to write and file whatever additional information that he needs regarding this hearing. Then the prosecutor has, I don't remember how long, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know, has some time to respond. Okay, so we're going to get, within 1 week, we'll get the defense attorney's extra writing about whatever you call it. And then the prosecutor, and then after that, the prosecutor is going to file his comments back, right? His response. And then once Nick is the prosecutor, once he does that, the judge has 1 month to review it. So all said and done, like this is March, it's like the end of April, right? I think maybe May 1st, May 2nd, May 3rd, something like that. And then May 18th, this is the trial. Let me see this. Are you rocking out? I don't know, am I? Let me give, someone's asking me a question. Let them know I'm live streaming so they stop bothering me. Bless their hearts, you know. Okay. So what did we learn in the hearing? Okay, this is some juicy stuff. Juicy. One of the people, I think the biggest deal of the hearing. Yeah, there is. Does it bother? Oh, that's what you mean rocking out. I thought it would be nice to have like an underlaying music underneath. I can barely hear it. So I was thinking you can barely hear it. But if it's bothering you, I can turn it off. Oh no, you thought you were losing your mind. Okay, yeah. That way if there's a pause or something, then there's it's not dead silent. There's a little bit of music. All right. Okay. Okay, no, wait. Before I get into the Todd click, which is like the big deal, let me point out one more thing that had come out that the prosecution was talking about with the contempt hearing, because we're into the hearing now. He pointed out that the crime scene photos, because a lot of this is about the leak of the crime scene photos, right? And they're blaming the defense for this leak getting out, right? And the defense is saying, no. You have a lot more leaks than we have, and you're the one who's playing dirty, not us, right? It's kind of what the defense is saying. But Nick made the comment that the crime scene photos couldn't have been leaked from their side, from law enforcement, because they use triangles in order to cover up any private areas. All right, because Libby was nude, and so she would have had triangles on her private areas. And some of the videos that were given to YouTubers had had rectangles or whatever, right? They weren't triangles. Yet some of the YouTubers, once they heard that in court, have come out later in the day, saying, no, the ones I saw had triangles. So you dig into that more if you want to find somebody else talking about that. I just want to say that was brought up. You can't concentrate with that music. All right. All I need is feedback. That's all I need. See, you give me comments. Oh, Mumsy didn't hear any music. Oh, that's all right. I've turned it off anyway. All right. So Todd Click. Who is Todd Click? He was an officer for the city of Rushville, which is a nearby city to Delphi. All right. I don't know what, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something. I don't know. Not far. It's real close to Delphi. And I believe it's still in Carroll County. So it's still within the sheriffs. And so, they had all hands on deck. And because some of the leads, Chalet says the music is like that. Okay, before I get into Todd Click, I hear the dogs barking. So let me just check my security camera. See if I see anything. Sometimes it's just the dog, like a stray dog or something that they're barking at. I'm not seeing anything. Don't get me wrong. You like the music. It just didn't go together. You couldn't pay attention to both. Because you were enjoying the music too much. Got it. All right. I'll just keep the camera on and hope if somebody walked by, hopefully I'll see it. Got to keep my eye. So instead of looking up at you so much, I'm going to kind of have my eyes down. So Todd Click is an officer with the city of Rushville. He was investigating the Odin angle of the case for 3 years. Okay, so from 2017, 18, 19, 20 until 2020, right? There were 2 other officers. So there were 3 officers that were working together to investigate this, Odin angle. Because I think some of the players were living in Rushville. And so when we say Odinist, sometimes they'll say, no, we're not Odinists, we're heathen or something. But it's all back to the Viking, Odin, Thor, Freya, the Nordic gods, right? And there is a group called the Vinlanders, and they're known by law enforcement and the FBI, kind of on the edge of being a skinhead, racist skinhead kind of group. They would, and I don't think they call themselves racist. They would probably call themselves like purists or something. I think Patrick Westfall, who's one of them, he was in an interview and he talked about polar bears. That polar bears don't mate with black bears or whatever. It's like, okay. So that's kind of their mentality. Now, Johnny Messer is a guy that lived in Rushville and was a recruiter for the Vinlanders. All right. Now, Elvis Fields was a guy that was recruited. And it's said that, he's a little bit slow, right? And because of that, you can't believe what he says. But, on the other hand, maybe you can believe what he says because he doesn't have that oh, I better not say this because it'll get me in trouble, or I better not say this because, whatever, not picking up on social cues and stuff. Okay, the dogs are quiet. I'm gonna save my phone battery. Hope everything is okay. Yeah, it looks like everything's okay. All right. Now there's another guy, Brad Holder, and the defense was trying to put these four guys together: Patrick Westphal, Brad Holder, Johnny Messer, and Elvis Fields. Okay, so it's all over Facebook on their Facebook pages that Brad Holder and Patrick Westphal knew each other. That's not a big secret. But connecting them all with Johnny Messer and Elvis Fields was snow in the house, snow in the house. Hey, I got a quick note for you. I just got the reservation today from Tony in Australia. He'll be here next week on the 24th. So we're, once he's here, let him land, let him get over his jet lag, and we'll like get on Discord together and stuff. So, okay, that's aside. And so they wanted to establish that these four knew each other. And with Todd Click's testimony, they were able to do that. In fact, it was even said that Johnny Messer's uncle lived with Elvis Fields. So they had all their connections, that they knew each other. Not a problem. As well as Messer's ex-wife, Taylor. So Click and Taylor, between the two of them, established, they all knew each other. Do we want to jump to Amber since we're talking about these guys? Well, let's get through Todd Click, and then I'll jump to Amber, because Amber's got some bombshells too. Music. Oh, what? Can you still hear the music? Oh no, us doing. We'll collaborate on some music. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so Todd Click, police officer, city of Rushville, working on the Odinist angle. The first note that I have is just a little bit of background. He quit the day, so he, 20 years of service, thank you very much. Everything was like, oh, thank you, it was great. But so he like retired after 20 years of service. Missionary is like exactly 2 months older than me. It's weird. Messner. Is it Messner? I wrote Messer, but okay, Messner. I'm not sure how to spell it, if it's Messer or Messner. Anyway, so remember I mentioned that one of the guys was assassinated. That was like Ferenczi. I don't know how to spell his name, but I wrote Ferenczi. The day after he was assassinated is the day that Click quit. These are the three guys that were investigating the Odinist angle. Right? I don't know what happened to the third guy. So Todd Click is the officer. You're using voice to text, just ignore me. Todd Click is the officer that drove Elvis home after giving his testimony at the station. So Todd Click didn't do the interrogation or take the testimony from Elvis, but he gave him a ride home after the testimony, right? And this is where it happened that Elvis gets out of the car and then turns back and goes back to Click and says, oh, by the way, if you guys find DNA from my spit on, and I don't know if he identified Libby or if he said one of the girls, or if he said Libby, and that's not going to be a problem, right? That won't be a problem if you guys find my DNA from when I spit on the girls or something, right? Now, note that we usually think when you spit on someone, it's kind of like disgust, right? You're angry, you're disgusted at someone, you spit on them, which I think is a horrible thing. But that aside, that's why you spit on someone, right? But No, you got to think about the whole Odinist Nordic thing. So if you're putting together some kind of ceremony and you're practically a copycat, right? Because nobody else, or at least maybe no one around you, is doing human sacrifices, right? There's a lot of people that practice worshiping the Nordic gods in a way that does not involve human sacrifice. All right. But they want to. They want to go there. Messer is innocent. Yeah, whether he was there or not, I don't, but he might know, something. Um, I I kind of have two different theories on who might have done the sacrifice. So I'd be happy to share in just a second. Let me get this out about the spit. The spit is known to like give life, which is really interesting. I saw Dune or Dune 2, whatever. And like they would like extract water out of, because they're in the desert. So they would extract water out of people, and they would only drink it of like their enemies. But if one of their own died, they would extract the water and put it like in this well. And so that was like the well of life. Really interesting. So I made, that's very similar. So they, like Odin went up to the god, or some god went up to heaven and got knowledge or whatever, and he came back and then like he spit and then that like created life or something, right? I'm not an expert, don't quote me exactly, but what I'm saying is there's a spiritual significance to spit. All right. And so if he did spit on one of the girls, he could have been told to do that as part of the ritual, thinking, because they learn these bits and pieces and then they make up their own ceremony, right? Just putting the video camera on again because the dogs were barking again. I said, anytime a stray dog goes by, they start barking. So, Oh, thank you, Snow. Say, Chalet, now I'm doing it to Snow. So yeah, Kavasur, I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. Kavasur was born of the saliva of two other Aser. And then Kavasur, of course, being a Norse god. Yes, yeah, I didn't think it was Odin. Acer and Vasner spit into the same vessel as a declaration of peace between the factions of the Norse gods. And from that vessel was born a brand new god, right? Okay, the passion of the Maven. Thank you so much, Snow. I'm glad that you know those details, and now they're on record here in the chat. So the point being that the spit has a very spiritual significance when creating a ceremony that is Odinist, right? And so that was with Click. So that testimony, because we kind of knew that Elvis had said something because of Frank's memo or whatever, but yeah, it was all clear. It was all brought out. You know almost everything about Norse religion and the theology and stuff because you studied it for over 4 months as part of your PhD. Wow, good. So you keep me in line. You keep me in line in this Odinist stuff. All right. He confirmed. Okay, so there's been a lot of speculation with YouTubers and stuff about the antlers or the horns. I mean, everyone keeps calling them antlers, but I also want to say that it could be horns. But but out of the head, well, laid on the ground as if they were coming out of Abby's head, right? Yes, yeah, keep me in line. So that, oh no, they were just branches. They didn't mean anything. They weren't really placed there to look like antlers, right? I'm just going to say antlers because I've already qualified that it could be horns instead of antlers, but from out of a animal's head, right? Those antlers are usually made of branches. They represent the Vasner because they are mostly peaceful druids and alchemists. Okay, thank you. So Click confirmed that yes, They were not accidental there by her head. They look like antlers placed there on purpose. He said that. All right. And then yeah, I say C. Vinlander. So some of the stuff that I already talked about the confirming that they were together and stuff. Now, here's another bombshell. Click said that Messer's phone, and I believe this was relating to Messer's wife, Taylor, all right? While he was investigating, he's talking to Taylor, Messer's ex-wife. And she informs him that she has Messer's old phone, and on that phone is a video of him kidnapping a young girl, teenager or whatever, using a gun and kidnapping her. So using the chain of command, he goes and tells the other law enforcement, which Jerry Holman is the lead investigator. So I want to say it was probably Jerry Holman, but don't quote me on that. But he goes and he says, okay, we need a warrant to get this phone. And they say, okay, yeah, we'll get that done. Thank you so much. Nothing. He said, Click said that then he went back to her and said, hey, did they pick up the phone? They say they're going to pick up the phone. Did they come pick up the phone? She goes, no one ever came and picked up the phone. So he took the phone. He said he tried for years to figure out who this girl was that was kidnapped. He couldn't figure it out. Then all this stuff starts happening. He has now given that phone to the defense. So the defense has that phone. So now we know that Messer has been involved with kidnapping in the past. It wasn't Abby and Libby on his phone. It was someone else, but he's been involved. One of the comments, yeah, that's pretty big. That's a crime that that girl's parents are still wondering probably where she is, and they could try to solve that. Or maybe they do have their body, but they don't know who did it. And they've got evidence that can help solve that case. Nothing. No. Oh, yeah. Well, great. Thank you for bringing that tip to us. Oh, wow. Yes. Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Look, I'm going to get on that warrant right now. I'm picking up my phone right now. I'm going to get on that warrant. Oh, thank you. Okay. Bye. See you later. Nothing. Tell me there's nothing dirty going on. Does anyone have common sense? So Holman was up on the stand. There was a lot of stuff that he said. One of the things I noted was that, when they're talking about the leak, and they're talking about the crime scene photos and where they came from, and somehow it was brought up about the search party people had taken their own photos, right? So there can be photos of the girls from the search party people that found her, because there was search party people that found her and said, oh my God, got on the phone, said, okay, I found them. And then law enforcement came. Well, before law enforcement got there, they took pictures, right? That's we've all known that. So Holman was asked about it. He said, it wasn't, that's okay. That there's nothing criminal about that because it wasn't, quote, it wasn't a crime scene yet. Now, it wasn't a secured crime scene yet. The police hadn't got there to secure the crime scene, but I'm pretty sure the definition of a crime scene is 2 dead bodies. Don't touch the crime scene. How close did they step to take the pictures? You know, anyway, just his comment really struck me. Among all the other millions of stupid things that he said, that one really it wasn't a crime scene yet. So yeah, no, we're not interested in that. That's irrelevant because it wasn't a crime scene yet. Give me a break. All right. Let's move on to Amber. So Amber is Brad Holder's wife. Remember I told you there's 4 guys that the defense they're saying are related and somehow, well, they are all definitely known to practice Odinism out of their own admission. All right. Some form of Odinism, where Johnny Messer is a recruiter for the Vinlanders. Patrick Westphal is a member of the Vinlanders. Brad Holder was a recruit, and Elvis Fields was a recruit, but they weren't like, I think they called them probates, just same way as the Masons do when they're in their initiation phase. So they haven't been fully accepted yet, right? And then Brad Holder, I'm sorry, Patrick Westphal. By the way, do you know he's like almost 7 feet tall? That's and he's stocky. I mean, that's one big scary guy. Snow, my assumption would be if the pictures are the same as the ones that they took after the crime scene was established, it would solidify the positioning of the objects of the scene. Sure. You have something important to say after I'm done. Okay. Let me finish up here with Amber, and then I definitely want to hear what if you want. I can bring you up and you can speak instead of typing. Okay. So Amber is Brad Holder's ex-wife. Patrick Westphal and Brad Holder had a falling out. Everybody admits that. That's not a secret, right? Patrick says that. Brad said that, he unfriended him on Facebook or whatever, right? So Brad Holder's still a member of the Masons, but he's not a member of, he didn't, they said, no, kick you out of the Vinlanders. We're not accepting you as a Vinlander. So Amber was asked about, what was the falling out? Because Patrick has said it's because Brad went to a Christian church, and if he can't do both. So that's what you want to do, go do that. You're not going to be part of us. All right. But what Amber said was that the falling out was because Patrick, so Amber is Brad Holder's wife. So Brad told her that Patrick wanted to move up from doing animal sacrifices, which they had been doing by a river. They wanted, and then Brad didn't want to do that. I don't know which one of them to believe. I mean, as far as because I was kind of thinking that possibly for whatever reason he was rejected, Brad Holder might want to try and make his own little club. Oh, you guys don't want me? Fine. I'll do this by myself. Because he was really into it. On his Facebook page, he would show notebooks of runes and doing sticks with runes and carving runes and just all kinds of, he was like really, really, really into it. And I could see him saying, oh, you guys don't want to accept me? Fine. I'll go start my own. And in order to start his own, he needed to do a sacrifice. He felt he needed to do a sacrifice to start his own. I could see that. But then Patrick wouldn't be involved. It would be Brad Holder and maybe maybe he convinced Elvis, come on, Elvis, you come with me. But now what was said today leans more towards the fact that Patrick Westphal is the one that wanted to up the ante from animal sacrifice to human sacrifice. And so did the Vinlanders, as the Odinists, with Elvis still a part of them, maybe do that. And with Johnny Messer or not, you know, I suspect probably 3 or 4. Snow, is there a number, a special number, or would it just, like, as far as how many people should be part of a ceremony, especially if it's like to bring power, to initiate and, you know, to show your allegiance, you know, is there a number of people, like, okay, you need 3 people, or you need 5 people, or 7 is the magic number? I mean, I'm sure there's different ceremonies with different numbers of people. But if you have any, maybe you don't know, but if you have any insight on that, please, I'd be interested. The other thing that Amber testified to is that Brad saw a photo on Patrick Westfall's phone of girls, not Libby and Abby, but of different girls being posed in the woods next to a tree the same way Libby and Abby were posed. And I believe that photo was on somebody's Facebook, whether it was Brad Holder's Facebook or Patrick Westfall's Facebook. It was on somebody's Facebook page, and then it got taken down after the girls were murdered. You know, and Brad Holder had a really interesting painting that he had done on his Facebook. Okay. There was talk about the leak, the Westerman leak. So we know that a man named Westerman, who had previously worked in the defense, well, there's 2 defense, and they both have their own offices. But let's see, Brad Rossi and Alec Baldwin. So Alec Baldwin's office was being used like as the war room. So Rossi would come to Alec Baldwin's office. And so they had a conference room that had like all the stuff on the conference table that they were working on. And while Alec Baldwin was in his office on a phone call, Westerman came into you know, Baldwin was in his private office within the law office, right? So Westerman comes into the law office to wait for Baldwin to meet with him, and he goes into that conference room and takes pictures. No question about that. That's what happened. The question is whether or not Alec Baldwin knew, or like left the room unlocked for him, or, you know, was in on it in some way, right? Westerman gave them to Fortsum. Fortsum gave them to Cohen. Cohen distributed them to other YouTubers. Fortsum is the one that killed himself after all this came out. Something about a misdirected email to Woodhouse. Woodhouse's name keeps coming up. Oh, part of the contempt is also, besides the leak of the photos, they're calling it a leak that Alec Baldwin sent an email. There was just a summary of like a list, like bullet points of some, you know, some discovery that they had or whatever. It wasn't the discovery itself. It was just a list of the discovery. You know how you get that autofill when you're doing, you know, you start typing a name and then the email comes up. But if you have 2 people with the same name, you know, it might give you a list and you got to choose the one that you want. Well, it auto-filled the wrong person. So he sent the email to Woodhouse, and it was supposed to be for someone else. This kind of stuff happens, you know, and it only happened once out of how many emails they send, you know. But yeah, so they dealt with that. And somebody named Frank Casa, I couldn't figure out what that was about. Okay, I said all that. All right. So I just want to like put this up for you to kind of see the triad. All right. So at the top there, ISP is Indiana State Police. And so you've got Jerry Holman, who was the lead investigator. And then you have Superintendent Doug Carter. And then you have Sergeant Kim Riley. All right. Next, you have the Delphi Police, and you have the Chief, Steve Mullins. Steve Mullins. And the current, who is now, he's not the chief anymore, but he's the current investigator for the prosecution. All right. Then on the other side, you have the Carroll County Sheriff. So that's where you have Toby Lesenby and Tony Liggett. Right? All right. So that's the evil triad. I don't know. I can't say that. You know, that's who the people are. Now, I might have missed a couple of bombshells or interesting things. Do you want to come up, Snow? Tell me yes or no. If it's yes, I'll put the link in, and I'll give you the link to come up and join me on StreamYard. Join me on panel. So we're 1 hour in. Mumsy didn't think I was going to finish it in an hour. I did. On the dot. I don't see any new comments. That's odd. I'm wondering if there's something. Oh, there we go. Allegedly, LOL. Yeah, I know. Very good, Mumsy says. Thank you. Yeah, there was a lot happening this week, and there's plenty of people that will go through and read all the documents. Like I said, Defense Diaries podcast is a favorite for Delphi for me, and Michelle Walks, Michelle After Dark. I surprised you. Yes, I surprised Mumsy that I did it in 1 hour. I wasn't even watching the clock. I was just like going through. And that's all my notes. But I wasn't there, so I didn't hear it firsthand. This is from me watching other people. Yeah, and I was there were a lot of YouTubers that were there that had been called as as potential witnesses. It's like where they got their leaks from. But not, you know, the judge really didn't let them talk. Numerology isn't really a thing that the Norse people did. Just saying. Okay, awesome. You don't want to ruin the show with your face, so you can keep typing. Ah, okay. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I can delete the comment. Okay. Good. Oh, your grandson. Hi, Talon. Hey, I remembered it without looking at the post-it note. Yay. Hi, Talon. Talon in the house. Yeah. Okay, so let me know. I mean, do you guys have any other thoughts about what happened? Because that's it. You got a question? Let me know. I'll try to answer it. Otherwise, that's it for tonight. That was a heavy topic. We'll have to see what we're going to do for Gen X tomorrow. The only time that a human sacrifice was made was to appease Odin specifically in very specific places in the woods known as holy places or Vi. I don't know if it's Vi or V. Had a very interesting show. Thank you, Mumsy. I don't know how much you know about this case. Get my blood flow going on my on my bottom. Yeah. It's not really. I don't know what the movies and things like this talk about with Vikings and sacrifices and stuff, but yeah, from what I've heard, it's not really a thing. The only reason that they would sacrifice a human would be out of desperation to change a political or economic or religious situation. As far as you know, most all sacrifices were hangings. Yes, like gutting a deer after you kill it. You know, you went to bleed out a deer. And blot were big feasts of lots and lots of animals, and they would hang some Christians because Christians told them that the most shameful way to die would be to be hung from a tree, because Jesus was sacrificed on a cross that was made from wood, which is a tree, right? Okay. Yeah. And that's kind of, it reminds me of like the Romans when they crucified Peter upside down, but he actually said, "Oh, don't crucify me the same way as Jesus. I'm not worthy, crucify me upside down," which would be horrible because then all the blood's running to your head. Oh, you wouldn't last as long as being upright if you're upside down, I don't think. Yeah. So there's in fact, it's very similar to the tarot card of the hangman, where you're hanging by one foot and one leg is not right. Yeah. So, alrighty then. Well, I guess we should wrap it up for tonight. I'm glad you guys have been hanging in there. And tomorrow we'll talk about Gen X. Maybe we'll do another trivia thing. I don't know. We'll just see what pops up as a topic for me, and that's what we'll do. I think it was fun. I think it was kind of fun doing the trivia. Maybe I find a different quiz, Gen X quiz. All right. But maybe it'll be, yeah. Okay, so you guys remember, if you don't know, love transcends time and space. So wherever and whenever you are watching this, I love you. And Snow has added that she's heard it speculated that tarot cards were originally an early form of teachings of Jesus by people trying to avoid martyrdom by the Catholics. Interesting. I have not heard it going back that far. I've heard the Medici family, at least the ones with the modern drawings that we have on tarot cards. Now, it is possible that earlier it could have been more like a deck of cards without the drawings, that was being used. I don't know. Weight Rider. Oh, that gives us something to look into. All right. So you guys have a wonderful day or night or whenever you're watching this. And I will see you next time. Okay? Love you.